Welcome everyone, it's Evelyn from Twin Flames 3344. Boy, do I have a lot to share with you guys. I've been on this all day because Spirit kept taking me on little sidetracks online to research things. So I have a lot to share with you. I just did a short meditation, which was coming up with, it's the season, you know, opening gifts. I was seeing a lot of multicolored sparkles and lights, the rainbow lights, which is very unusual, right? Because we don't usually get to see the whole spectrum of lights, but we do this month during the holidays because we see lots of lights up and the beauty that it brings. I was just getting "'Tis the Season" and "Morning Glory," I guess marking the time that everyone starts opening their presents now. And just a few messages from yesterday. I did some stuff yesterday, but I didn't feel guided to go online. I was out for a little while yesterday. But I guess it was because I was supposed to present today, because a lot came up today. So from yesterday, the mother or ma was coming up in reference to aiding or aid or Addie, A-D-E. And then masquerade was also coming up in reference to Addie or aid. Vitamin C was coming up, as well as music. High C's. The Two of Cups has been coming up a lot today, and both the Lovers and the Two of Cups are upright in this read today. Also, Adam's Apple and circumcision were coming up, and this was especially in reference to the feminine energies, more so yesterday. And also the walls of Jericho tumbling down. And then in the more masculine energies from yesterday, I was getting that one of two isn't two. Because they always talk about the one of two. They show me like a mastectomy because that's one of two as opposed to something that's half of something, right? Because you have two separate entities, things that come in pairs. To remember, the twins are not half of one another. They are one of two. To persevere, you are not. It's like one of two isn't half. To persevere to hieros gamos was the specific message I was getting now. Also, around the 8th to the 10th of this month, watch for risky behavior, divine feminines, on behalf of your divine masculines. Also, lefties and righties were coming up and the differences between them, and then relating those to the divine feminine and the divine masculine as the left and the right. Also, then last night, triggers are definitely coming up for you guys. They're little sneak attack tests. So yesterday was very calm for me, but then my daughter called me late last night. It was almost midnight, actually. And I don't like to talk on the phone that late at night because I'm tired. And not that I ever mind talking to my daughter, but then she was bringing up, fear-based things like trust and, men following her, or just, trust-based issues, which, of course, as a mother, it always triggers you, right? Thinking about your daughter and then giving them advice and them not wanting to listen to your advice. So why are you asking, So that's the typical thing between mother and daughter type things. But of course it can trigger you, especially when you're tired. So to remember that. And so I realized it as soon as I got off the phone, and I said at one point, I'm tired. I don't want to talk anymore. It's not a good time to talk about heavy stuff. So then we got off the phone and all was fine. But I was triggered by what she was talking about. So, of course, I called myself on it right away, and then, did my deep breathing, focused breathing, coming back to the center again. And then right at 12 o'clock, midnight last night, the lights freaked out. Like they do right before the power goes out, except they really freaked out. Like the lights went really bright, which they do with my energy anyway, on and off. But it was just so pronounced. The lights just flickered really bright, and then they went off and went back on again. So the lights never went off. And it might have been that they almost did, but it was just so weird because it was right at midnight last night. And also the internet's been weird last night and then again today, which, can always trigger us. Yesterday it was okay because it would go back on. I thought there was some snow yesterday on and off, so I got it yesterday. Why it might go out, because if the snow's been coming down. But then today we had no snow, and there's no snow on the ground, so we shouldn't be having any more issues, and yet we still were. So I wasn't, at one point there was no internet at all, and my lights were just flickering. So I ended up calling, and as I'm literally getting through to them, the internet all of a sudden goes back on. It was like, it's just messing with you on purpose. And the lights just went really bright. I don't know if you noticed that, but they did. So it was pretty funny, actually. So as soon as I got through, because, you never want to call because it takes you forever to get through when you call the internet companies. But then all of a sudden, my internet went on. And then I noticed on my bill, when I changed to this internet service, I wanted to keep my same phone number, which they said I could. And I realized on my phone bill that my number was not my same old number, which I didn't know. I've had this service for over a year. So that was very interesting. And then I tried to call for that, and the phone, I wasn't never getting right to the right prompt on the phone service. So you know how that goes. So I just ended up hanging up and not dealing with it because it really doesn't matter anyway. So anyway, just to warn you, there's definitely a lot of triggering coming up on purpose for us. These little tests on how fast, you can get back to being centered again. And it's not a race, but, just being present, realizing when you're going off balance and how to bring yourself back to center again. So today, of course, is December 3rd, 2019. So we have the 3 of the Empress, and the day adds up to the 27, which is the Ace of Wands. So we have a lot of passion, new creativity, and growth all around the Empress, which already is about growth and abundance. So it's a lot of expansion energy there, and very feminine growth and passions, creativity. So let's see, for this read, the SIRIAN Starseed deck, which is the main deck for the read, I cut and dealt at 10, 28 to 29. So 10 is the Wheel of Fortune. 10 is the Wheel of Fortune, and 28 is the 2 of Wands, and 29 is the 3 of Wands. And the 2 of Wands, or 2 flames actually in this deck, is the twin flames. So it's very much about choosing a path and then being present on that path. And also, when I was dealing this read for the SIRIAN Starseed cards at 1024, which is the Wheel of Fortune and the Queen of Wands, 24 is also Omega, the 24th letter. The cards that fell out of the deck were the Ace of Cups, the 10 of Pentacles, the Star card, and the 4 of Pentacles. So regarding that self-love, spiritual love, and new love, regarding your dream family, shining your light, your dreams come true, and the 4 of Pentacles, of being moderate and pulling back to center again. So I finished the read here at 10:53 to 54. 53 and 54 are the Knight and the Pages of Swords. And 53 is also the Catapult. And on Thanksgiving Day, I told you I was behind plate Rise 53, R-I-Z-E 53, which is the Messenger of Truth, the Knight of Swords. But it's also the Catapult. It's about, that the Knight of Swords is the fastest sword. And it's the truth rushing in. So we have a lot of messages here with the 53 to 54, which exactly was what this read was, a lot of messages. The major arcana for this read were transition, shadow, and guidance. Transition's death, shadow is the devil, and guidance is like the Hierophant. Before the read, because I always pull a few cards on either side of the read that I do use within the read, I have Abundance, which is the Empress, and the Tower before the read. Nothing came up after the read. Then we have 2 Pentacles, 4 Wands, 1 Sword, and 1 Cup. So mostly swords today, so a lot of passion and action, physical activity, and not so much of the swords and cups. Thoughts, meditation, and then feelings, of course, heart-related things. And we have 2 Pentacles, so it's more about practical things and work and a lot of busy stuff, running errands, being passionate. It certainly can be passionately riding in, but it's also about working out and just, running around, being active, being very physical in a passionate way. The court cards that came up, the 9 of Cups and 9 of Wands both come up. I like to mention the 9s because they can all act as people as well. But the King of Swords came up again, and the Page of Wands. And then after the read, the Knight of Pentacles came up. So we had the King of Swords, the Page of Wands, and the Knight of Pentacles. Very masculine oriented. The codes and the numbers here were all around forgiveness And the numbers we had, the code line number was, oh, I'm wondering, my battery just said my battery was low, and I'm like, why? I'm plugged in. But my plug was plugged into my iPad, but my plug wasn't actually plugged in. So I was just startled there for a second. So that could be a message too about not being plugged in. On my code line, we had the number 59, which is the 5 of Swords, which is that being at war, the enemy, the war within. And we had double 5s and double 9s. So 55 is the truth, the Ace of Swords. 99 also came up. So lots of compassion and endings, universal selflessness, the collective consciousness. The sequence 789 came up, and that references also the 5D, because like 1, 2, 3 is the 3D, 4, 5, 6 is the 4D, and then 7, 8, 9 the 5D. And that was pretty much, there was a few other numbers that came up. 35 is the 9 of Wands, the Wounded Warrior, and 59 again, the 5 of Swords. And in a lesser sense, 34, which is the 8 of Wands, and 57, the 3 of Swords came up. But that's it for the numbers. It wasn't a lot. And then 2411, which can be the Queen of Wands, and the 11 of Justice, which is just truth and balance. So the code line being about forgiveness, except my cards were covering part of forgiveness. So it was coming up as forgive, and then E-N-ness. So it can come up and be interpreted as a lot of different things, but also Loch Ness, and the Loch Ness Monster came up. And I was also getting, there's, for me, N is code Jesus, and so is E-N. And so it's definitely coming up as the Jesus is the template for the masculine, and the ESS can reference the divine feminine as well. And the S is the Sophia, the feminine collective consciousness. So forgiveness on both sides, right? You're not half, you're one of two. As the lights just brightened again. Okay, so the false student of the Shah was coming up, and I was getting Shannon Doherty, because there was someone who stopped in front of my house last year, who I know they weren't someone from around the neighborhood, and they just parked in front of my house. And it was a car that I wouldn't have recognized. It was a black BMW or Mercedes, something like that. And a young girl who looked kind of snotty with dark hair like Shannon Doherty. She looked a lot like Shannon Doherty. Just looked at me and then got back in her car. So I don't know who she was. But that came up. And then the enemy of heart and emotions, which Shannon Doherty was a perfect example of that, because she had a lot of issues with the media back in that day, because she would get in a lot of trouble and do things, and she had a mouth on her. So the false student of the Shah, the enemy of the heart and emotions, and the forgiveness needed around this. And the Loch Ness Monster may be, where sometimes they just pop up out of the water because the waters are very deep and dark, and that has to do with emotions. The two sides of, and it also references the two sides of Jesus with Mary Magdalene and Lilith, right? The shadow aspect and the light aspect. Also, Fosse was coming up. For Bob, Fosse was the first thing I thought of, and he will come up in this read or in the information that I got, but it wasn't the first thing that came up. So Fosse having to do with bad spirit of the Shah. Then I was getting 9 to 5, which brought up the movie 9 to 5, which is about overthrowing the boss or the government to get your wish. So definitely a leader being taken down was the message coming here in this masculine coding here around forgiveness. And then that's when the internet started giving me difficulty. It was about 11:11 to 11:15 today. And like I told you, that's when I noticed the phone number wasn't actually my phone number. So that could be a message for you guys as well. So I was looking up the acronyms, the SHA, S-H-A, and also some other ones, F-O-S-E. I ended up looking up as well as E-K-E-R. So they then came up with a whole bunch of different things that led me on to a whole bunch of other things. So here we go. So when I put the code line in online to see what might come up, the 5 golden chalices, just a lot about chalices was coming up, nothing very interesting. But the 5 golden chalices and the 5 of cups came up. And something noted there was that the earth, of course, is 80% water. And of course, the ocean is eternal emotion. And that was from aeclectic.net. Also, the novel, The Chalice, came up, where in the header it just described that the masters of the different sections or the areas in the book all were part of the circle. And then the Shah, I had looked that up, and it literally means Uriel. And also side real hour angle came up. And native name in Ladakh. SHA can also be Society for Historical Archaeology and secure hash algorithms. And the urban definition was that Shah is a term of affection, like darling or dear or sweetheart. So then I also noticed in the headers when I looked up Shah that Shah 1 came up, SHA-1, which was some kind of regulatory thing that only went up to Shah 3, but in my code header, it's Shah 9. So I looked up Shah 9 to see what would come up for that, which it's always amazes me what comes up that's totally unrelated that now brings up all the things I've been bringing up this week. So I put in Shah 9 because I saw Shah -1, -2, and -3, which had to do with something else. And the first entry that came up when I put in SHA-9 was Montague, which I've been bringing up the Montagues and Capulets all week, 26789-9, which we had 99 in the numbers, and 789, as well as the 2 and the 6 were missing from the numbers today. 26, so it's 2 and 6 is the High Priestess and the Lovers, and 26 together is the Page of Wands. And then we have the 789, which was in the read today. The numbers were in that order, 789, which came up in this number, 26789-9, and there were 2 9s. And then it said dial thermostat, which I always talk about, the temperature of the masculine and the feminine, and the boiling points. And then 25,000 came up, which is the Knight of Wands, with 3 zeros behind it, which is a lot of source energy, right? And the Knight of Wands is already energized enough, right? He's the one who comes in sexually, or just passionately and creatively. And there were 3 different models of this SHA-9, G16, G26, and VJ26. So, of course, G is God, and 16 is the Tower. So those are the divine Tower moments. Or you can have G26, which is the Page of Wands, related to inspiration. Or you can have the VJ, which has to do with the feminine aspect of God, and the 26, and the inspiration of the Page of Wands. So what this was, the SHA-9, was an oven temperature knob with shaft. And you can think of all of the connections to that. So it's literally was long shaft. Ella literally said long-SHE, which was short for shaft, and it was from partsdown.com. So ultimately, the Montagues with the High Priestess, their psychic abilities, and the Lovers, the 7899, which I referenced to you already, the thermostat turned up to 25,000 degrees of the Knight of Wands, and we also had the 26 with the 25. So we were going up from the Knight of Wands to the Page of Wands, or from the Page to the Knight. We went from the 26 to the 25, which only in the tarot deck does it actually go up when you go down, because the 26 to the 25 is going from the Page to the Knight, which is actually going up in passion. So it literally reads the Montagues, the High Priestess Lovers, and the thermostat turned up to 25,000 degrees from Page to the Knight of Wands with a long shaft knob, and then you have the English version of knobbing, and with the models of the Tower, the Page, or the Psychic Lovers in the Divine Feminine inspiration, right? Because we're now bringing, the Ascension is about bringing the feminine energy up to par so that we become imbalanced again. So it was a pretty funny reference that all that stuff came up, and they had nothing to do with when those things came up before, like Montague. So that was very cool. So then we start with and Uriel came up, so that was important. So Archangel Uriel was important because that's another definition of Shah. So the foe or false seeker or seeking urgently of Uriel, who's the angel of wisdom. God is my light is what it means, or fire of God. And it also can be spelled as Auriel with the A-U-R-I-E-L. And there's other spellings that it can come up as. But the Uriel feast came up, as that was September 29th in Western cultures, and the East is Ethiopia mainly, was July 28th. And that the 929 references around the Jewish holidays and the New Year, and then 728 around the cosmic New Year, right? The changing of the guards. And Ethiopia comes up as, I had researched her before, I can't remember what they're called, but she was the Ethiopian queen who took on, who was it, Anthony or somebody, and won. I can't remember. I'm not very good with history, guys, if I don't have it right in front of me. But anyway, I've talked about her before. So the power of the feminine coming up here as well, from the East. And then in Rabbinic Judaism, from the Bible, from en.m.wikipedia.org, most of this is coming from. The archangels first, the first archangels came up in the Jewish Bible as first Michael and Gabriel, and then Raphael, and then Uriel was the fourth, usually depicted as a cherub, an angel of repentance, stands at the gate of Eden with fiery sword. Okay, so like at the gate with the fiery sword, the truth, Excalibur. Also the angel of Sunday, or poetry, or holds the key to the pit in the end times, and led Abraham west, or Abe west. Also the Seraphot, which are the 10 parts in the Kabbalah, and also the presider over hell, which is interesting because I never even say the word hell on this channel, but I brought it up this week. It came up in the reading that I actually said hell, and I noticed it so much because I never say it. So Uriel, presider over hell, and also considered Phanuel, the face of God, and patron of the arts. So it's very interesting. Also came up as the sixth ray of peace. This website came up, dolphinwatershielding.com, SHEALING.com, and I was getting connection when I went into this version of Uriel. There was a picture of Uriel in angelic form, you know, but very much more light as opposed to a lot of distinct characters or traits. So the sixth ray of peace, it was coming up there, Uriel, and I was getting a lot of connection when I opened that website. And then the 9 of Cups was coming up, which is the Get Your Wish cup, like the genie in the bottle. And then 5, which can be, it's the Hierophant, but it can represent God. So in other words, the face of God. So not only was the definition coming up, one of them as the face of God, but then I was getting a repeat of that coming through as the 9 of Cups and the Hierophant as the face of God. So then the FOSE was coming up, the definition of that, and the definition of that is a ditch or a moat or a trench or a dig. So I'm still here on the coding for the read. You know, I'm just breaking down some of the acronyms that were coming up that I'm supposed to find and research and get the meaning of it. So the foe or the false seeker of the Shah, and then Nin was coming up as well, and 5 and the 9 of chalices regarding forgiveness. So Fosse came up, F-O-S-E, which I told you means ditch, moat, trench, or dig. And then Eker, E-K-E-R, is an island in Bahrain near the island of Sitra. And if I'm not saying the cities or countries correctly, please forgive me. But Iker was coming up of the Shias, and the Shias, we have Shah, but Shias is just one letter off from Shahs, so often that's the way spirit will come through to me. So the main population there is the Shias of Iker, which is in Bahrain, directly across from the island of Sitra, which is where all of the oil plants are there. And it's coming up as the dream come true, right? Because it's such rich land. And the hermit to the Hierophant, which can reference, the old wise man, the human, to God of the Hierophant. It's like it's the human place of the gods. The Sitra handles all the Bahrain petroleum production, as well as the export of the Saudi oil in the northeast portion of Saudi Arabia. So like it's a major hub right there. And this is what was coming up, the city right across from this island, but it's very close, which is EKER. And it's very hard to find a map of EKR. It's small, so it's just a small town there. But famous for pearls. This is actually Bahrain, because not much came up for EKER. But Bahrain is famous for pearls and was occupied by the Portuguese in 1521, who were then expelled by Shah Abbas of Safavid dynasty. If I'm saying it wrong, I probably am. But the Persian Empire of 1602. 1783, Bani Utbah clan, and ever since were ruled by Al-Khalafi, the royal family, and Ahmed Al-Fatah as Bahrain's first Hakim, declared a kingdom only in 2002, which is very recent. And then a lot of human rights abuses were coming up. 2011, there were a lot of protests there. The Shia Muslim population. And Bahrain is, the name is considered to mean a dual form of bar, or the sea. So it originates as two seas, or the more formal translation from Bahri is belonging to the sea. So two seas, and today, these days, in current days, it's seen as the bays east and west of the island, the seas north and south of the island, the two seas, or the salt and fresh water present above and below the ground. The wells and the North Seas above Bahrain is fresh water. Actually, you can see freshwater bubbles come up in the middle of the salt water there at times. It's suggested that two seas were originally the Great Green Ocean, which is the Persian Gulf, and a peaceful lake on the Arabian mainland. And then, of course, there's a mountain of smoke, which is the highest peak there on the island. The nickname is Al-Awal Island, and they have dates, almonds, and figs there, and pomegranates as well, which have come up this week twice already. This is the third time. So they have all those trees there. And the numbers were coming up as far as all the details when you look up a town. So for the average rainfall was coming up as 144. The average temp, 28 degrees, the twin flames. The warmest is August, which averages 38 degrees, which is the Queen of Cups. The coldest, January, which is 18 degrees, which is the moon. Then the rainforest, it's rainiest in November, again at 38, so the Queen of Cups twice. And then the coordinates were 26.03, which is the Page of Wands and the Empress, north, and then 50 and 50.55 east. And 50 is the 10 of Cups, which is emotional fulfillment, and 55 is the Ace of Swords, Excalibur, the truth. So very inspiring and abundant, complete emotional fulfillment and truth there. And it was coming up as the FOSE, or the moat, to Sitra, because there's a little bit of a moat between Iker and Sitra, which, as I told you, is where all the petroleum is. So the trench or moat Iker of the Shias, the people who live there, the hermit to the Hierophant, from the human to the gods, Arabian Nights, and dreams come true. So the moat of Iker of the Uriel, the angel of wisdom, and also NIM was coming up as 9-inch nails. which would literally be swords of the hand, you know, being able to hold 5 swords in one. And then the 5 of swords came up multiple times on the code line, was 59, the 5 of swords. So the 5 swords of the enemy camp. So we have Uriel here. So then Nin comes up, and Nin is a famous writer who is also known by Ané, which is a French name, but it means grace. So Nin also is Ané, which equals grace. And the writer was born, actually her first name was Angela, which is angel, Ané. She had many middle names, but Ané is the one I guess she used as her name. So here we have Ané means grace, but her first name was Angela, which is angel, angel of grace. So the 5 is Hierophant and freedom and change, or the 59, which keeps coming up in the coding, of the 5 of swords enemy of heart or emotions, or the 5 and the 9 of the Hierophant, freedom and change, and the 9 of chalices, which is getting your wish, being happy with yourself, sovereignty of the heart. So Ané is the French version of Anna. So we have Nin, Ané, Angela, and Grace, angel of grace. So Ané, possibly from Anahita, which was the name of Persian goddess of fertility and healing. So now we have another goddess, Anahita and Uriel. So then we have, then Bob Fosse came back up for me, and that was from imdb.com. And I always remember Bob Fosse from All That Jazz, which was done in 1979, which is funny, that's the year I graduated high school, and 79 is the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. He's also well known for Cabaret, 1972, and Lenny, which I don't remember that, but Lenny's my brother's name, so that was funny too, 1974. So what comes up around Bob Fosse is all the drama of his love life and his wives, that he broke hearts, you know. It's about not the drama queen, but the drama king. So this is referencing back to the divine masculine. So then the ditch of what FOSE means, the ditch Eker, the town in Bahrain, of Uriel and Anahita, or grace, angel of grace. So the Hierophant being God's wish and the angel of grace, the moat or dig of Eker between the archangel Uriel of wish and Anahita, goddess of fertility and healing, which is a Persian god, which is the place we're talking about, but the two things came up totally independent of each other. So now we have a Persian god or goddess and Uriel associated with Eker in Bahrain. So Eker, the face of God in the Persian Gulf. So we're getting Uriel, the archangel of wishes, comes up as the face of God, because that's another definition for Uriel, and the Anahita, the goddess of fertility and healing, which is in the Persian Gulf. Eker, the face of God in the Persian Gulf, or God blessed. The angel face, which then I kept simplifying and simplifying, so it came down to angel face and angel of grace. And angel face is something one of the doctors I used to work with used to call me all the time. And plus I was born on Monday, which is fair of face, which always comes up. But angel face and then angel grace with 9-inch nails, or the 5 of swords. So it was very interesting that it came down to those two. Angel face and angel grace. And then Grace came up, so my mother's middle name is Grace, but also her mother's sister's name was Grace. And my mother never liked her middle name Grace because she didn't like her Aunt Grace. But I liked Grace very much. And Grace's daughter was Baby Ruth. So Baby Ruth was coming up, and the baseball player, and that more of that will come up as well, but not for baby Ruth, but the sports stuff will come up. But baby Ruth, so someone might have just been born and named Ruth, so that's coming up. And then my cousins, John, Tony, and Steve, were coming up because her mother was Ruth, and she had the same soul number as me. I just happened to know that before she died. She had taken care of her mother, Grace, for a long time, and then finally when she was freed from that, she had cancer, and she ended up dying not long after that. So it was like, sacrificing your life to take care of another and then not being able to live your own life. But the daughter, Ruth coming up as the daughter of Grace, and then Angel Face and Amazing Grace is a book by Lori Copeland, and Cope is my maiden name. So that was coming up again. So it was pretty funny how they were doing this for me. And this book, Angel Face and Amazing Grace by Lori Copeland, is about someone distressed by not healing with traditional medicine, and her name is April, is about her getting into alternative medicines for women. And then this handsome doctor who she wants to bring it to, so he'll use this alternative medicine, but this handsome doctor, of course, already has too much attention because all the women are bringing him food all the time trying to get his attention. So that, of course, parallels with the twin flame journey as well. So is there anything else up here? I don't think any of that was important. But you can look up the map of the island if you want to see there. But it was showing Eker as a moat to Citra, which is like that's like a gold mine because it's where the petroleum is. And they were referencing it as God-blessed area, right? Of the hermit to the gods, to the wise man to the gods. And then we have the goddess and Archangel Uriel coming up. So starting out in this read, it's now 144, which just came up in the coordinates, or the rainfall for Babran. So 144 comes up here again as I start actually doing the formal part of the read. 1 is the Magician, 44 is the Four of Cups, the mastering and grounding and integrating. So we start with the 8 of Crystals, which also had Abundance, or the Empress below it, reversed, the 4 of Wands reversed, and the Tower reversed. And that's these cards here, right? So we have the 8 of Crystals, or the 8 of Pentacles there. The Abundance reversed, the 4 of Wands reversed, and then here being the Tower reversed. So the masculine, this is for the Divine Masculine. Again, it's a general read, so it's for the Divine Masculine, for the masculine, but also the masculine within the Divine Feminine. And it's also for a lot of people, so if it doesn't resonate with you, don't try to make it fit, okay? Take what resonates and leave the rest. So the masculine here with the 8 of Crystals, of course, being at work, which the masculine gets those energies a lot of the time, the 8 of Crystals and 3 of Crystals, being the workplace and the actual work, is done overworking and or aligning with desires or more projects. What used to work is no longer working for him. The Empress reversed could be an ill parent or older person, or someone abusing their power out of control in lack consciousness, with instability at home, moving or ending a marriage or celebration, or visiting another's home, and time to stop working so hard. Depressed, loss of hope with no option, and issues or third party at work. Judgment, announcement, or call to action to stop being sneaky and come clean, or to come clean at or about the workplace, or leaving there. And then I was getting this slip out the back Jack again. Slip out the back Jack. Make a new plan, Stan. You don't need to be coy, Roy. You just get yourself free. Hop on the bus, Gus. You don't need to discuss much. Just drop off the key, Lee, and set yourself free. So then Spirit was taking me to specific people relating to this. Slip out the back Jack, they were referencing JFK. Making new plans, Stan, they were referencing my dad. His name is Constantine, but his nickname is Stan, and he was well known in his field. You don't need to be coy, Roy. So then I just told you about all that jazz, and Roy Scheider was the star of that movie. So he was coming up. And just get yourself free. And they're all about guys who needed to break, maybe had excuses for not leaving their karmics behind, even though they knew it wasn't their truth. So this was the message about the masculine being in his truth and how to get out of a situation that's not your truth. Just hop on the bus. Gus was coming up as Caesar, Augustus Caesar, and don't need to discuss much, just drop off the key. Lee, Robert E. Lee came up and set yourself free. So this is Paul Simon's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. And then, not just Robert E. Lee, he actually came up secondary. First came up a young guy who died last year. It was a very sad story, but his nickname was Gus. He was Augustus Lee, and he was at University of Richmond, and he died at age 20 from the Spider family at University of Richmond. It was Tuesday, December 11th last year. He was born in 1998 and passed away in 2018. He was a redshirt freshman defensive back, number 28, who walked on the Spiders onto the Spiders above picking Cornell or Delaware. And it was documented as suicide by asphyxiation. And I was getting connection as I was going through this, so I know it was important to bring up about him. He was from Fairfax, Virginia, and went to Paul VI Catholic High School. He graduated in 2017. And his mother donated, or his parents donated his brain to the Virginia Boston U Concussion Legacy Foundation Brain Bank to study CTE, so having to do with concussion issues. He was found dead in a snow-covered car just off campus. Mid-season, he had come home to Vienna, where his mother was, with bronchitis. And apparently when he returned to school, he was never the same after that. He started talking to his mother daily, which wasn't usual for him, and told her that some days he wasn't eating. He said he was just tired, and after Thanksgiving last year, called home late in tears, driving from campus to Vienna, where his mom lived. And he said, "I'm so lonely, it's awful here. I need to come home." He saw a mental health professional the next day who wanted a neuro screen done for him over the winter break. But then he went back to school with finals looming and had said that he just wanted to finish them and then I'll come home. So the final 2 exams were December 10th, and his roommate hadn't seen him for hours that day, so he called his roommate's parents, who then called the police, who literally found him 1 hour later, who was, had died in his car that was covered by snow off campus. And this is from the Washington Post. So obviously it was a very sad story, which of course comes up at number 28. And I'm going to do oracle cards at the end of this read, so I might actually pull a card just for him to see what comes up, to see if there's anything he wants to add to this. So we continue with the read here, and we have the King of Cups, the twins, or the King of Cups with his kids, recovering without choice or without his ex, from or as the King of Swords, with new passion and message, news or child spreading the word. A militant coach with passion for his players and or students or kids, or expecting too much from them, a baseball player perhaps, or Viking, police, or soldier lineage. The tail, spelled both ways, T-A-I-L or T-A-L-E, the tail end, or literally someone has a long coccyx, right, which is the tail, or unable to swing like he used to. Snakeskin was then coming up, or Cleveland Indians, the Washington Redskins, and Channel 10 and buckling down, a clamp down, news about growth, new passion of Big Dick, or Dick Vermeil, the Eagles coach from 1976 to 82. He was also with the Rams from 97 to 99, and the Chiefs from 2001 to 05. Okay, so here we have the Eagles as the bird, the Rams, which can also reference Aries and Taurus in general, those kind of energies, and then the Chiefs. which we just talked about, the Indians and the Redskins, which were totally separate from what then would just come up with Dick Vermeil. So he was the coach of the year on 4 different levels: high school, junior college, NCAA, and professional football. Vermeil and former Redskins head coach, so here the Redskins come up again, Joe Gibbs, they were close friends, and this was all from en.m.wikipedia.org. They were close friends, and Vermeil had recommended Gibbs hire his former offensive coordinator, and in 2005, USA Today's Offensive Coach of the Year, Al Saunders, as top assistant coach. Vermeil was portrayed in Invincible, the movie, in 2006, and sports announcer for CBS and ABC, also after he retired from playing. And he's still around. But his 2001 book autobiography touched on the Jerry Sandusky story, and Vermeil was quoted in there, "He could very well be the Will Rogers of the coaching profession." And for those of you who aren't familiar with Jerry Sandusky, he had 40 arrests that year, 40 counts rather, of child sexual abuse, and that was 2011. And that was at Penn State University. So a 2011 account about his book, when looking back, said that and that was, I guess, 2001. But in recounting the whole court case with Sandusky and everything that happened in 2011, was recounting about the book and said Sandusky paints a picture of himself as someone who would consistently take risks in pursuit of what he often refers to as mischief. And there are many other citations and quotes which look different in light of the horrendous allegations now. So things taken out of context initially, but he's literally saying his truth, but saying it in a way that could be interpreted in something that would be okay by society's terms. So later, November 8th, 2011, Vermeil also told Action News, and this was after the arrest and everything, "I don't think there's anything that could discolor the quality of Joe Paterno's legacy," because he was the boss at the time. So of course he got fired. But it wasn't him who did this. It was, but it was the good old boys club back then where, if they suspected anything, they kind of like didn't talk about it. So this, I'm not going to even go into it because there's so much awful, innuendo about that whole case. But anyway, he also was quoted saying, "It's a blind side. That's all I can say. If it's true, he's a sick man. He has an illness and none of us knew about it. That's all. And Spirit's connecting with me." So it's saying, the read today is all about forgiveness. And they're showing this man of honor, Dick Vermeil, showing some forgiveness in a man who did something very dark to many different victims. Showing forgiveness. So then Dick Vermeil came up with his message, Channel 10, that he's home in Chester County. So Chester County is somewhere near me, because I'm outside Philadelphia. But after his career, he was an announcer, of course, on TV, but also he started making his own wine. So he's out in wine country a lot. So I didn't realize that he's actually home in Chester County now. So he came back here to the Philadelphia area. And what came up online was the Dick Vermeil and Silva Senat Talk Philly Pours on NBC 10. So it's an event that would benefit RHD, which is Research for Human Development. So it focuses on children with issues. So it's a charity. So that was their charity event, unique wine and food event to raise money for RHD, which also showcased his wines. So this is also showing you how you can combine things you resonate with as far as charities with the creative pursuits you have, like his was to then create wine with a special menu with this chef, Silva. So 610 Sports Radio also came up here, as well as Dick Vermeil's granddaughter, who was playing field hockey at Villanova, which is another big institution and Catholic. So continuing with the read, father and child or grandchild with new passion maybe together, but the King of Swords is at the tail end of this. Possibly a child taking over for him because it's not his truth anymore, or the worst is over of working with child or a student that is no longer working, right? So a young person working there wasn't working out. A patient angel moving to peace, dumping all responsibilities or burdens, or confessing. Taking one step at a time in peace talks. No more 10 burdens or 10 pains was coming up. So it's the end of all the burdens and the pains. And the 10 was coming up consistently. So it can reference channel 10. So there might be something else about NBC, which I wasn't getting, but the 10 was coming up as, that's the Wheel of Fortune, destiny. But the ending of the wands and the swords were completely done. The King of Cups and the kids, or twins recovering from X. The King of Swords, who's upright in his truth, could also be the King of Swords, just generally, can also be a lawyer. It doesn't have to be the masculine. It can be a lawyer, or also could be a newscaster or weathercaster, spreading the word at the tail end of a storm. Now brewing other things, like wine instead, referencing again back to Vermeil and how he found something new to do after his long career in football. And I was hearing police sirens here, so police stuff was coming up as well here for the King of Swords. At 321, 321, jump, but it's also the 3 of the Empress and the 21 of the world, the completion of the cycle. We have flirt for the Divine Masculine in the Romance Angel underlying energies, and beneath that was release your ex. So first release your ex, and then flirt. The worst is over, finding peace and release. The sovereign obsessing, grounding, and integrating offer of love. Tying up loose ends with ex or obsession with boobs or plastic surgery, now grounding and integrating love at the gate. After sudden jealousy of third party, judgment, announcement, or wake-up call to action, action news. New love, self-love. And right as I wrote that, an ambulance had just passed north. And it was weird because you know how it didn't have its sirens on yet. It just made one of the beep with the sirens. So it was just a quick. But then I was hearing sirens in the distance. So we have an ambulance, and then police came up before this, and then more sirens in the distance coming in. So it's saying it's not over. It's just beginning, really. 325 to 26 is the Empress with the Page and the Knight of Wands, right? Someone who's there's a lot of passion there, young people can get away from themselves when they're feeling passionate like that, as the Page of Wands and the Knight of Wands. And then we have the Empress, which is the mother energy. Big sirens in the distance, and that can have to do with women being sirens. Someone barricaded themselves in a home, obsessed and refusing to leave, while Channel 10 news at the gate, or neighbors talking at the gate to update each other about obsessed beauty and the beast, or plastic surgeon obsessed with his work, or husband comes home thinking visiting man is sleeping with his wife and attacks him, and which was really funny that came up because it was literally in a movie I watched last night. And little boy tying two together, or a child's death gets parents back on the same team. In the aftermath of jealousy and new love, Cupid is taking care of the twins, as some women who are resisting, are dragged off the premises. Or old black man saves young white girl from herself, news at 10, which is also one of the themes that was in the movie I watched last night. So funny how it parallels this. Sometimes literally when I'm watching a movie and I'm doing cards, the cards will literally be mimicking exactly what's going on at the movie at that time. And it's so funny when it comes up. So in referencing the old black man saving the young white girl from herself, news at 10, he was teaching her self-love. All right, so someone who needs to be taught over again because they weren't taught properly, they didn't have a loving parent. So creativity is coming up as number 3, which again is the Empress and her abundance. And then below that was time out, or 37, the King of Cups, unconditional love. showing you what a little creativity and unconditional love can do for someone in need. Then we have issues at the workplace with turnover, disagreements, or third parties, or interference, or choosing a new path with final judgment of the Queen of Cups reversed, and the Divine Masculine sneaking out the back or coming clean about financial drain of child or partner, and the Emperor reversed, who can be a father or a father-in-law as well, and their abusive power, or it's a father and 2 kids sneaking away, or the Emperor loses money, power, and independence in being sneaky and then coming clean, and or ego death or abusive power with dependents doing their dirty work for them, or no presents this year, or someone stole all the gifts, or the tree brought down the house with all escaping safely, or man in power falls from grace as sneaky or a thief, or father and child, or a young partner or assistant thinking they got away with it but left evidence behind and fell from grace, or a final judgment in the split of a family or workplace, but due to sneakiness, all are losing out, or a wife or kids are now living with her father who's abusive, or none of them are happy about it, and they must find new work. The Emperor reversed, leaving a job or retiring, and this was at 346, the Empress, and the 46 is the 2 kids in the garden, the 6 of Cups. So a mother and children. So the Emperor reversed, leaving a job or retiring, or forced to step down with news or a message that's out, or a child spreading the word. Now at 347, which is the 7 of Cups, seeing synchronicities or what their options are, spreading their word about dumping burdens, responsibilities, or confessing their sins, about flirtation and new love and creativity. Recently, coming up for the masculine here is the 9 of Wands upright, the Queen of Cups reversed, dumping emotional attachments in recovering from exile, a strike, or refusing to move or work, and a split, lies, and BS, and the ending of a family or emotional cycle. The Hermit reversed, or Virgo, coming out about split, divide, lies, or BS, to end the conflict, the fight, the competition, the quest in exposing all, to re-energize, to get some sunshine and be happy again. The foundation is the transition card, death, transformation, the dark night through the portal, offering a new life while holding their tongue, to twins and or kids in the aftermath of the Queen of Wands reversed and her wrath, or just the Queen of Wands reversed tired of kids and or twins. Rebirth in the aftermath of verbal abuse or holding back announcement of the Queen of Wands reversed over the twins and or her kids. The center energy being here, the 5 of Wands reversed, that the battle is over, the masculine done overworking it, and inspired now, with the Queen of Swords reversed in the back of his mind. No longer putting up with family verbal abuse and or lies, the Knight of Cups upright is now being love and offering love to Taurus reversed, or religion, or the Hierophant, or the marriage, or divorce, because it was reversed. That's all now behind him. No more grounding and integrating small offers that never change. The challenge being for the masculine, the 9 of Cups upright, being happy alone, being satisfied, getting his wish. The angel patiently watching over him, strong and gentle, taming the beast, or Leo and or ego, sovereign, which is the 9 of Pentacles upright, and beautiful connects with his 9 of Cups upright. So the 9 of Pentacles is the feminine sovereignty, the 9 of Cups upright is the masculine sovereignty. Both independent and happy, grounding and integrating an offer of love to reaping rewards, the divine feminine's heart, rejected and vulnerable, yet still offering new passion and growth. Sealed divine feminine completing herself, sharing third energy and creativity with others, and resting as well as meditating in 5D, and time for him to offer love. Keeping quiet about the Hierophant reversed or divorce, or Taurus reversed, or a break in contract, the wounded warrior, Hermit reversed, coming out about resistance to his awakening, rejected and vulnerable or spoiled Queen of Wands reversed with biting tongue, always speaking at the wrong time, depressed, or Aquarius Queen of Pentacles upright and King of Pentacles reversed, no longer chasing or saving girls, coming clean to bridge the gap, chaos and detox of dark priestess with no keys, or someone dropped off the keys for the house. The Divine Masculine's SS, or safety and security system, the root chakra, now the King of Swords upright in his truth, expressing his feelings about walking away and within. In deep transformation with the Queen of Pentacles reversed and the Emperor reversed, which can be a karmic, sister, friend, or whoever. It's mostly comes up as the karmic and her father, but it can be anyone around him who he's been dealing with a lot. The Queen of Pentacles reversed and the Emperor reversed, which can be his father or a boss as well, or a grandparent. So now with clarity about energy exchange and being back on the horse, the masculine with good news to bring to the grieving one after having kept quiet about it. At 4:16, which is the Emperor and the Tower, in sudden events or sudden changes or epiphanies, eruptions, explosions, events, memories of twins, insecurities, and feeling like they didn't have the tools or didn't literally have the tools they needed, and dream family going crazy and wounded, and now the Hermit or Virgo coming out about it, inspired to romance over staying asleep. The battle is over and spreading the word about juggling, performing, or getting wish to stay balanced with the Queen of Swords reversed in her dark night. The King of Swords upright is over the Queen of Wands reversed. Transformation and rebirth are over depression or Aquarius reversed. End of pain to receive the bliss is he's choosing over the Queen of Pentacles. But Sagittarius drinker with attitude can stay with the King of Pentacles reversed while he's bridging the gap and detoxing Dark Priestess, who's under the King of Swords, water under the bridge. Soon for the masculine is the Seven of Wands reversed, defenseless to drama and fiery energies, but no longer cares. He's the fire walker, offering love to Leo, Sag, and Aries, the fire and drama to tame their beasts. The Emperor reversed and the Queen of Pentacles and the Hierophant reversed, still at war with him. It can be a Leo Emperor reversed and Taurus Queen of Pentacles. They're both with negative energies, though. Healing failed romance, twisted pillars in the way, and the Emperor reversed connected to Angel, strong and sovereign, or connected to Sag, Leo, or fiery girls, or turning back on connected, or turning his back on his connection with three spoiled females: Earth, Fire, Queen of Wands reversed, Aquarius reversed Leo, and Queen of Pentacles Sag or Aries, and Aries and Taurus in there as well. Healing, recovering, the Emperor reversed, connected, patient, and strong, taming the beast, and sovereign, defenseless to love. He sees himself as the Page of Wands, inspired by his inner flame, soulmate, inner connection, his bond, his fusion. He's free to leap as the Dark Knight over the bridge, but tired of riding a horse because he's the centaur. So he grabs the Divine Feminine lover and jumps in the chariot. All on board. So on the masculine here, I want to point out that you had both the Two of Cups and the Lovers both upright on the Page of Wands with the flame inside. So we have, again, I'm going to just repeat that last sentence so you get it. He sees himself as the Page of Wands, inspired by his inner flame, his soulmate, his inner connection, his bond, his fusion. Free to leap as the Dark Knight over the bridge, but tired of riding his horse because he's centaur. So he grabs his Divine Feminine lover and jumps in the chariot, all on board. Chemistry comes up in Romance Angels, as well as pay attention to the red flags, which has to do with your signs and synchronicities, but also your root chakra issues. And reconciliation, honeymoon, and romantic feelings all come up here. Around the Divine Masculine, or how he is seen, is the Devil reversed, or a Capricorn reversed, offering love to his new love and working through difficult emotions, not walking away. The masculine needs to clear blocks around the Hierophant reversed, or divorce, or in receiving guidance, like a lot of people, guys don't like that. So whatever his belief system is, getting over those issues, those blocks. or blocks in breaking contracts, right? A man's word is who he is, right? So it's all those old templates and needing to break them, because it's always about loving yourself first, being authentic to your contract, your mission with your higher self and God and source, however you want to see that. So his blocks about those things, as well as divorce, spirituality, and thinking outside the box, looking back at the past, instability, a move or ending marriage, injustice, and or Libra reversed, healing from wars past with Taurus, Queen of Pentacles, and Emperor reversed Leo, past enemies of the Libra reversed, or in other words, the Patriarchy fall, because we have the Emperor reversed, the Hierophant reversed, and the Justice reversed, all in this area right here. All right, so the red coats are down. Detoxing chaos and ownership and recovering from exile. Forgiveness. Right, that's the main card here in the numerology deck, but then there's a bunch more for you. But forgiveness is right here, and then I was getting your highness or your highness. So whoever had a lot of addictions and was getting high, or however you got high, it was saying forgiveness, okay? The bull's splitting, putting props away, and using his fingers instead down her back, and this was at 444, which is the angelic realms. Instead of using props, now using his natural fingers down her back, going on a treasure hunt. X marked the spot, but 3 lies down, you're out. No more question marks. Only a pinch, a squeeze, and a tropical breeze. And at 446, which is the Emperor and the 6 of Cups, the children in the garden, Bloody Marys times 3, and then I should be good. Gotcha. The King of Swords upright, recovering in the ice-cold freezer. So maybe somewhere cold, or with somebody cold. Recovering in the ice-cold freezer, Cancer and or Chariot driving him to madness, or lying to himself about drinker all this time, that alcohol does not equate to patience or being a superhero, coming clean about addictions, detox, rehab, and dark priestess, locked away without a key. The Page of Pentacles and 9 of Pentacles sovereign, who could definitely be 2 kids, older kids, saving to pay off debt or to contribute to their fair share. The secret is out, fully exposed, death, transformation, and the worst over for the third party, gossip, and or overindulgences, and Sagittarius player ways, falling short or holding back passions, the wounded warrior, King of Swords, without the King of Pentacles reversed now, or lost status and money, and healing from separation and heartbreak now. The Knight of Pentacles reversed, which can be a strike, disability, or being stubborn, or just refusing to move or work, or just being still, leaving work to retire. The Empress reversed, healing and forgiving, the King of Cups at night, or by the full moon, comes to light. Prisoner, hostage, anxiety release, and the pain cycle, all over, that bliss is achieved. Creatively awakened with ideas, and now coming out about a twist of fate. I don't know if I went over that in summary. So we have the issues at work and the transition of the Dark Knight, but we have an open portal here, as in the foundation. The Death card in the SIRIAN STARSEED deck is a literal portal, walking through it. So with the issues at work or leaving the work, in the transition of the Dark Knight going through the portal is the Page of Wands, the Seeker of Flames, inspired with the going through the detox or the Capricorn reversed. But that can have to do with going from the chaos to the detox, the 2 stages. We have the wounded warrior, who's on his last leg, and then the central energies being that the 5 of Flames reversed, that the battle is over, and the challenge is being happy, right? The 9 of Cups, getting your wish, being happy with yourself, being satisfied without being arrogant, though. Then we have the 7 of Flames, of standing up for yourself, to others, rising up above the drama, to tango and be more spiritual or get a divorce or, drop a Taurus energy here. Then we have the King of Swords in the crowning position in his truth. And then coming up at the end with the Five of Pentacles reversed, which is recovering from being in exile in a very cold place. But the King of Swords, he's okay with cold because that's natural for him. So that's the summary. And then we get into having to do with healing from a separation and heartbreak. The Knight of Pentacles reversed, right? Being still, that it doesn't have to be a problem, right? Everyone sees someone being still as someone who's lazy, which isn't correct. You don't have to do a thing to be worthy of love. This is the point. So we have the workplace issues, but then the Three of Pentacles, was that upright? I think it was. But it has to do with definitely leaving behind what no longer serves him as far as his work stuff, being still at home and not working. And it has to do with strikes and disability, people with disabilities, and people with lack mentality. The Empress is coming up reversed, who could be a boss who's out of control, abusing people, or it could be a parent who's ill that you have to take care of, or you're deemed as having to take care of. You have to be the responsible one, right? So these are all templates we're breaking. In healing, separation and heartbreak with the King of Cups, unconditional love, by the full moon, all prisoners should be released, or anxiety is released, as the Ten of Swords is completely reversed at the top of this read, which I'll show you the cards, whereas that is the bliss state, the release of all the swords coming out of your back. That's the moment of bliss. So we have the leaving of the work with the Wounded Warrior, and the Emperor reversed, either in ego death, which is a good thing, or abusing his power. And that could have to do with people in the public eye coming down off their high horse, getting caught doing things they're not supposed to do. In the transition, the transformation, the deaths of the end of the battle. After the battle, there are deaths. There are soldiers who have died. All right, so all of that's kind of coming up to be cleared away, with the challenge being that Nine of Cups, being happy with yourself, your sovereignty. For the masculine to be happy, to be allowed to be happy and not be expected to sacrifice for everyone else. And then coming up to the top with the King of Swords in his truth, but seeing himself as the Page of Wands, rising above the drama, inspired to tango, to do the dance, to get rid of the chaos by going through detox and doing what he needs to break a marriage, break a contract, right? Break his patterns of doing things the old way, the traditional way of commitments, and never breaking a commitment, right? Because a man's promise is his word. But things change and people change. So it doesn't mean that you're no longer a good person. You have grown. So what you promised before is never going to be valid anymore. So it's silly to do that in the first place. And then we end up again with recovering from being in exile of the group, the church, the institution, yourself, recovering from being in exile of being connected. In heartbreak, separation, or being on strike, disabled, right? Refusing to move or work, just being stubborn or lazy, can be that as well. Or just being still and meditating, because that's what you want to do now for your work. But either way, it's all good. The Ten of Swords is not only the Ten of Swords, the end of the pain, it's reversed, which means it's completely over, the swords are falling out, and we are achieving bliss state. So now I just want to pull a few oracle cards, because I definitely want to get messages for Augustus Lee and also whatever else comes up, but I want to show you the cards before I forget. I know it's going long, but bear with me here. Okay, so you have the Eight of Crystals or Pentacles there as the underlying energy with the transition card and the foundation. Recent past was the Nine of Flames, the Wounded Warrior, and the middle was the Five of Flames, challenged by that Nine of Chalices or Cups. The other underlying energies there, crowning is that King of Swords, and bridging across that 4D bridge to what's coming, which is the Seven of Flames standing up above the drama. The masculine seeing himself as the Page of Wands, and around him is the Shadow reversed. Then we have the Guidance card reversed, which is like that Hierophant reversed. And then we end up on the Five of Pentacles, or crystals, reversed, recovering from being in exile from the group. With the Three of Swords reversed above that, the Knight of Pentacles reversed above that, and then the Trinity, or the Three of Pentacles, is the workplace, and then ending up with that Ten of Swords reversed. And that sidebar note, you know, is just the awakening coming out about the twist of fate. Okay? And you see all of those numerology cards. So not just forgiveness there, which the Loch Ness Monster is lurking below there in the dark, deep water, which is a scary place to be, right? But even more so is effort, financial discipline, new beginnings, music, environment, follow your dreams, completion, and change. And those first three at the top are the first ones out if you want to know which ones were most significant. So those three of the teal and the purple. Change, completion, and follow your dreams. All right, so let's see where we go with the I'm going to pull cards from all of my oracles that I like to do. Okay, so we'll do Ascension, we'll do the Past Life deck, and we're going to do Journey of Love. So, I'm going to pull a card real quick for, I'm going to use my Good Tarot for Augustus Lee, the boy who died last year. See if there's anything that comes up for him. You know, did he really asphyxiate himself in the car, and is that all there was to it, that he was depressed because of his concussion syndrome? I just want to see if anything comes up for him, or if he has a message for any of us. Augustus Lee, okay? If you want to come in and share with us something about your death, it would be much appreciated. And it's really important because, you know, most people have had some kind of concussion in their life. We talk about that a lot in my family as well, because my youngest brother, Jim, had a lot of concussions when he was young, and he's now, you know, has some of those concussion issues, you know, having thoughts that aren't who he is. So if we find anything new out about it, I'll certainly share it with you guys. All right, so this is for Augustus Lee, the football player from, was it University of Richmond? University of Richmond. Do you have a message for us, Augustus? Gus Lee. Do you have a message for us? For everyone watching, the best and highest good of all is concerned. What do we need to know? What do we need to learn? Augustus Lee, do you have a message for us? What is the message? It's very interesting because the coloring of the cards that are coming out are very much the same. Tell those two. Okay, that's it. The bottom of the deck is the moon reversed, deception. All right, so he's saying there's deception here. Let's see the card, actually. This is the Good Tarot. This is the moon, but it came up reversed, okay, like this. All right, so the first cards that came out are these two together, all right, but both reversed. Okay, so we have the Strength card. I want you to see the details of the cards, and then Transformation. I know they're coming up upside, they're coming up reversed, but I'm getting a lot of energy from them just looking at the pictures upright. And you see the lion roaring. I mean, it's in so much pain, so much despair, like trying to get someone to understand what he's going through. And I'm getting that he's connecting with me, that's him and his mother, like, because he was expressing to his mother. And you see how young this energy is. This is the feminine side of him, and how fragile and vulnerable he was at this school. Maybe he just wasn't ready to leave home. The cards came out 813, so August 13th. If that's significant to anyone. I often wonder, and I'm kind of getting this now because there's so much feminine energy in these cards, and we're talking about a football player, right? Who went to Catholic school, you know? So very much had to follow the rules and be very sweet, right? So I'm just wondering how he was treated on this football team, or how he felt around other football players. Because there's very feminine, you see there's very feminine energy here, but reversed feminine energy of death and transformation. But it's here, the transformation is not complete. You know, if it was okay, and this is saying being at peace with the death and what was said about his death, it would be upright, right? But they're reversed, right? Incomplete transformation and weakness. And there's definitely about his feminine side here coming up. The next two cards that came out for him are the Five of Air, which is like the Five of Swords, but you see in this deck it's much sweeter than that. And then the Seven of Fire reversed, which also came up in the read. This is what it looks like upright. The unicorn, right? And here you see in this card, it is reversed here coming up. But you see how this unicorn is actually defying gravity. Because I don't think it would be that easy for that horse to be in that position on his hind legs and stay balanced like that. Which is the message that's coming through. I'm saying I mean, it's an illusion, right? That it looks like he's fine standing up on his hind legs by himself in the middle, an island unto himself, but he's not. He's an island with no water around him. There's no emotion, all men, right? There's no feminine energies around him. Instead of being an island unto himself, he's on a rock in the middle of an ocean that used to be there. It's not there anymore. And where do I go when I bring my front legs down? There's nowhere to put them, right? And there's no soft place to fall, no emotions. Only the Five of Air, which looks all soft and sweet and feathery, but it's the Five of Air. It's major war. And look, making it look, it's like a ballet, like a ballerina would make everything look so perfect and sweet and innocent. And yet, that's not the meaning of the Five of Air. It has to do with the war within. You don't have to, you can look like this and be at war within. This is what he's telling you. It's making me want to cry, but you can look like this, all perfect and sweet, and have everything seemingly great on the outside, but you're at war within. So he's saying that, like, don't let your children deceive you. Right? I was in a very dry place with no emotions to cushion my fall. At war within, a war that I couldn't stop. He couldn't rise above it. You see this too? Like, you know, with this fire card, it's all air. He's up in the air. There's no water to cushion his fall. And then this is all air too. And what does air do to fire? It just makes the fire grow bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Oh, I gotta plug in. So this is what he was saying. There's no emotion in these cards at all. You know, you have death and strength. There's nothing there as far as emotions, but there's a lot of feminine energy. And here again is a lot of feminine energy. We have a woman with a mask on, with a lot of angelic feathers and angelic birds around her. Everything looks perfect and sweet and angelic. But there's no water. In the human realm, you know, we need the water. Our bodies are made of water. How can we survive without emotion and love? We can't. These are all fireflies. They're like dragonflies, but fireflies. It's like he felt attacked by all the fire around him, the aggression, when there was no emotion, nothing soft to land on. He wasn't able to stand up for himself. Not with the Five of Swords, which could just be the war within, but he's also on a football team, all right? A football is a literal war as a game. So it's very much the message he's extending. All right, the last two cards, or actually 3 cards came up. All now a different color, but they're all reversed still. We have the Queen of Water, Queen of Cups, the High Priestess reversed, and the Messenger of Water reversed, which is like the Knight of Cups. Also very feminine energies, but all reversed. So this is what they look like upright. The Messenger of Water, the High Priestess, they're really beautiful cards, and then the Queen of Water. All right, so let me see this stuff. We have the Queen of Cups, we have the Knight of Cups, and then the High Priestess. I'm getting like these energies were around him. I'm getting like him as a High Priestess, that he was very much in his feminine. And he had these energies around them, but even that, they weren't really there. Right? Because when the Messenger of Water is reversed, you know, that's jealousy and insincerity. And then the Queen of Water, she can be manipulative and mean. Like other feminine energies can be very mean and nasty to each other. And I often wonder if he had a girlfriend and there was something more to this that we're not seeing. You notice that all the cards were feminine here. And now it's really super feminine, but all reversed. These are like mean girls. This is like the ultimate mean girls. We got the High Priestess reversed in the middle. She's also like got that wafy look, you know, like a runway model would have, all put together perfectly. I don't know. Or even it could have to do with girls jealous and trying to be his girlfriend. There's some kind of girlfriend thing here. I don't know if he had one or not, but there might be something related to this. Maybe one of the reasons that he did this. There's a little seahorse here with this Messenger of Water that I keep seeing. See the seahorse? It's like upside down. She looks mean, like she's just gonna like blow the seahorse away. Like, go away, seahorse, you're getting on my nerves. Like a female treating him like he's nothing. All right, so that's what's coming up for him. Again, this was Augustus Lee, the football player who passed away last year of suicide. So it was reported anyway. So it was reported from asphyxiation just found in his car that was snow covered an hour after he was reported gone. So they found him really quickly. All right, but here again, the underlying energy was deception. So if anyone knows anything about it or is watching this that's around that environment, and if it helps, I hope it might help somebody. So now we're going to go on to the Ascension deck. For everyone watching, the best and highest good of all those concerned. Today is December 3rd, 2019. to know. Let's clear all negative energies across all dimensions of time, space, and realities for the highest good of all who's concerned, and fill those empty spaces with beautiful, divine love and guided light. And so it is. All right, so you have 3 cards coming up, and then some I gotta count. Let's see here. That's where it stops. The bottom of the deck is Pallas Athena 48. You can read that if you'd like. The affirmation, I use the sword of truth to lead the way. It says very much about that today. The King of Swords was all over the read today. Plus we had the talking about Excalibur, and then the 5 of Swords being the hand made of 5 swords. So first card out was Saint Germain, which is all about transmutation, which is 34. The 8 of Wands, which is the Hours of Love as well. Saint Germain, Lord of Civilization, cooperates with Archangel Zadkiel to transmute the lower energies of the world in the violet flame. He's a great alchemist and magician who transforms that which no longer serves into something beautiful and light. Your guidance is to invoke Saint Germain, surround yourself in his violet light, and see the divine perfection in whatever or whomever you wish to transform. Your pure intention and focus can co-create with his energy to make miracles happen. Use this to help yourself and others to ascend. So 2 other cards came out just right after Saint Germain, and that was Lady Nada, which is 45, and you can read that if you want. The 45 is the 5 of Cups, so that grief card, and then the Gold and Silver Violet Flame, which is the 4 of the Emperor. I am the Gold and Silver Violet Flame. So again, Zadkiel comes up in Saint Germain, so they all kind of go together. And the Violet Flame of Transmutation comes up with that and Saint Germain. When you add the Gold of Wisdom and Silver of Grace and Harmony, which came up in the read today, Grace, you create the powerful Gold and Silver Violet Flame. The angel suggests you invoke this mighty energy to clear the ascension path ahead of you and keep your light pure and clear. When you send the Gold and Silver Violet Flame to people, situations, and places, you facilitate wondrous transformations. This powerful light transmutes the old and raises everything to a very high frequency. And then, of course, Lady Nada is the twin flame of Jesus, his higher self, Sananda. She's the master of 7th ray and ritual magic. Ceremonies that call in mighty forces are important, so you're reminded to bring people together to raise great light. The priestess in the Temple of Love in Atlantis, Lady Nada is bringing back ancient healing methods, helping the development of intuition, telepathy, and wisdom, and acting for justice. Your guidance is to trust your spiritual and psychic abilities and use them to help those in need. The affirmation being, I accept and practice my healing, spiritual, and psychic gifts. So again, Saint Germain, Archangel Zadkiel, very much a part of this read, and Lady Nada. Okay, and then I have to count. So there's 3 cards that came out there, and I have to count these, which the top of the pile that I have to count is Buddha, which is 33 in the Christ vibration. You can read that too if you want. I am one with every one and everything. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, the tower. So the sudden event, explosion, eruption, epiphany, whatever it is very important here. All right, 16 plus the 3. So the 3 is the Empress, which was the common theme today. And then the 18 plus the 3 is the 21, which was also a significant card coming up today. Completion of the cycle, with the Empress of Abundance and the 16, the Help of the Tower, they're both being major arcana cards, okay? So 16 and 3. I'm sorry, not 21. 16 and 3 is 19. I don't know why I said 21. But 19 of the Sun of Full Exposure, which also came up. Oh, that the Tower helps bring in the full exposure. When you refuse to expose things, or you're scared to, the Tower, or that divine timing of the Tower, comes in order to, force your hand to expose everything, which is for your always for your highest good, because the truth shall set you free. And we're very much talking about the violet flame here of transmutation, so to help others change their negative energy into positive energy. And then Pallas Athena. To use your sword. wisely to settle disputes. That's another 3 because it's 48, which is a 3. Okay. And now for the journey of love, I'm going to ask Augustus again. Gus, what card he'd like us to read. For the men who've always been very much in touch with their feminine side, but weren't allowed to show it. This is for Gus. What would you like us to say? It's December 3rd, 2019. For everyone watching the Best in High School who is concerned, what do we need to know? What do we need to learn? Gus, what would you like us to know? Go. There's some cards to count as well. I only got one card to read though. Okay. The bottom of the deck is Dream a Little, number 51, which is the King of Swords, which was all over the read today. Okay. Dream a Little, the King of Swords. Then the cards I have to count to see how many. We have the Choice on top of that, which is 62, which is the Prisoner, right? It's the 8 of Swords. The Choice, like make the choice. And the card that I'm going to read to you is Becoming, which is 34, which is the 8 of Wands, the Arrows of Love. Becoming. And I love this one too. I don't know if the colors really come across to you online, but it's a really pretty card. The softness of the feminine energy. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So here we have the moon again. Because the moon came up with deception for Gus. So now we have Gus with 18 again in the moon. And the choice that needs to be made when you're 62, a prisoner, right? Or a hostage of your situation, the choice. Dream a Little, King of Swords, prisoner, or hostage of the King of Swords. And then the 8 of Wands, the Arrows of Love. Expressing your feelings and allowing to have a heated debate if needed, or just that energetic exchange between the masculine and the feminine, 34. Becoming. Yes, you are manifesting your divine purpose, yet what is happening now is just one of many inspired brushstrokes on the canvas of your life's work. You are the artist who paints with trust, instinctive and spontaneous, with faith in the process unfolding. You are not the painter using numbered squares, who has finished the vision even before commencing the task, with a map for all steps of the journey. Your lack of plan renders you open and receptive to divine direction, and Spirit's connecting with me. You are capable of being moved by Spirit. You are a brave adventurer, so celebrate what you're creating now and realize that it's a step in your major work of divine art, this life of yours, not to be planned, but to be experienced, stroke after stroke, step after step. You shall witness the picture coming to life. It may not be what you expected, but it will be the most beautiful, extraordinary creation. This oracle brings you comfort, that you are blossoming and each petal unfolding is another step closer to your ultimate divine fulfillment. There's a message here too, that a relationship or project that you are keen to move forward will bloom in its own unique way. Give it breathing room and be willing to let it become what it seeks to be. Even without a clear direction or plan, sometimes even because of that, there is an inner plan that can come to fruition. The poem reads, "Take heed, my friend, for time is ticking fast. Illusion grand, in hopes this dream will last. Such memories we keep for days to come, a looking glass that only shows what's done. It would be sad to think there's nothing more. A well-worn path reflecting what's in store. God's gift was not that days would be the same. Each dawn's first light would sing a fresh refrain. Of light and cloud to bathe the earth's surprise, would change a foot to stop, would be unwise. A palette rich awaits the artist's brush, creating life at one with God's soft touch." So, in reference to Gus, it's very much about, living in the moment, that Your life doesn't need to be planned out. You know, he must have grown up in a very structured way, going to Catholic school and then being expected to perform on this football team without any room to breathe at all as far as what's authentic to him. And he might have loved football, I don't know. But that's the message he's bringing across. And for you on the journey as well, to allow things to unfold one day at a time, to try not to look forward to the outcome, to enjoy the journey, that this is the bliss, to allow the universe to plan something for you that you could never dream up of on your own, that you might have missed. Okay. So that was a really beautiful message. I hope you appreciate the messages that came through. It was a lot. I really spent the whole day with this stuff coming in. And something else I wanted to bring up when I was reading, and I didn't want to forget it. Oh well, I can't remember. I don't want to keep you on much longer. Just get your water and your rest. Be good to yourselves, you know. Be in joy. And rise and be love, you guys. Take it easy. Bye.